approaching this new year of 2021. Man, it's just been a pleasure already. We've already talked about the conference recap of how it is going. It is just kind of launched into a new normal. Today's guest is all about doing things in a new way and making them better than ever before. I first met this gentleman on a cruise ship as I was just a guest. I wasn't doing anything but just being with my family, and I instantly knew there was something different about this guy, something unique, almost like God's hand was on him. He was a young man that started out as an entertainer with Disney Cruise Lines that was quickly elevated to be the senior cruise director for the Disney Cruise Lines. Now he is on a new adventure. He's going to help launch a new cruise ship being launched later this year with Virgin Cruises. I want you to put your hands together and welcome as our guest, Clayton Lyndsey. Welcome to the show, Clayton.
Hey, thank you, Scott. Thank you. And I know every time I see you, before we get into anything, I always got to say, roll Tide.
You just made Will Roberts just beam with excitement. He is probably the only bigger Alabama fan that I know than you are. And I love that because, you know, I pull for the Tide. I have to be politically correct and go, all teams are playing the game. Alabama just wins the game. Anyway, but you and I met on, I guess it's been now, Clayton, I guess it's been 15 years ago we first met.
That is absolutely correct.
Oh, man.
And that was a wonderful meeting and my introduction to the how would I put this? The importance of SEC football culture. And it was incredible how we met. I remember Hunter, your son, he was not happy. He was not happy with Disney Cruise Line and not happy with me because we did not have the Iron Bowl plan on in our sports bar. And Hunter let me know how important that was. And that was the start of a phenomenal friendship and a phenomenal spiritual friendship between you and I and your family and my family. So I thank God for that day. And I know Disney also thanks you for that day because now they have SEC football on their ships.
I had forgotten about that, but we had, all right, truth be told, we snuck him into one of the bar areas because the game was going to be on, and that was the only place we could do it because Disney, as you know, is so intertwined with ABC, and this game was being shown on another network. And I've never seen a young man. I mean, I'm talking about probably at that time, 9, maybe 8. I mean, he just went off. And I was like, calm down. That's when you realize.
I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. It was like, excuse me, sir. But you don't understand how many upset people are here. And I was like, well, tell me what the problem is. And you know me, as the cruise director, our job is to fix it. Let's just solve it. Whatever it is. You need Mickey to come see you, man? Do that. What do you need? He said, we need the Iron Bowl on. Now, being from Minnesota, I didn't understand what that was. You know, I was like, okay, it's November. Bowl season doesn't start till January, February. I don't know what this kid is talking about. And I said, let's just walk down together, man. Let's go look. And at that, as you said, he was like 9 years old, and I didn't care. I just walked him right into the bar. I said, show me what you need to see. Because on this TV screen, we have Wisconsin versus Iowa. On this TV screen, we've got Michigan versus Michigan State. On this TV screen, we've got Wisconsin. And he was like, no, I want the Iron Bowl. I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I remember that now. I had honestly forgotten about that experience. That's phenomenal. Well, I mean, there you go. Your job was to fix things, but your spirit has got such a spirit of just servant leadership. Yeah. You lead by serving others. And To me, one of the greatest leadership principles is, to sit at the feet of Jesus, because that's how you really learn to be a servant leader. But you launched out into the wild blue yonder as a young man in the entertaining, but then you were quickly elevated as a cruise director. And one thing about you, Clayton, I'll never forget this, is when you were standing before the crowd, and I'm talking about probably 1,000, 1,200. I don't know how many of the crowd. It was a large crowd. You had them in the palm of your hand. And I went, either he's going to be a phenomenal cruise director or he's going to be a mega pastor before long, because you had that type of a control over the crowd. Is that something that was just God given, or how did you increase it to be so effective before people every single night?
I think, well, first of all, thank you for that compliment. That's a very huge compliment, and I appreciate it. And the first part of your question, is it God given? Absolutely, right?
Mm.
All of our gifts are God given. Well, no matter if you want to acknowledge that or not, that's where it comes from. All right, and did I know that it was a God given gift at that time? No. And when I first started in entertainment, I think you and I have had this discussion before. I was in the foster care system for almost 8 years, from age 2 to 10 years old. And in foster care, there's a couple things that go on in foster care. We're talking foster care in St. Louis, right? And either you are the alpha and you kind of run things in those foster cares as a kid, and you take people's food, or you take care of people, or you get beat up because you're getting jumped on. Or I found another way, and that was just make people laugh, just have fun. I'm scared, right, in this foster care system. So I have like this nervous energy of wanting to always just make people have a good time. And I wanted people to have fun. And it started out as being a way for me to make sure I didn't get jumped on. And I was a twig, I was just a little bitty boy, underfed with a full pot belly. I looked like and this is not a knock on anyone, but I looked like one of those Ethiopian kids that you see on commercials. And what do people do? They go over there to try to feed them so they can have more nourishment. And so that's what I look like as a 7-year-old, 6-year-old, up 10-year-old, until I was adopted, right? And so being able to protect myself was not something that was easy or fun, but what was fun was making people have a good time and making people laugh. And then what I found out what I was really doing later on in life was actually making the kids that were in foster care with me, it made their time a little bit more enjoyable as well, because we all were going through the same thing, right? So when I was adopted by Antoinette Williams, a beautiful, beautiful angel of a woman who already had 3 kids of her own, and they brought me into their home and taught me about being a good brother, taught me about being a good son, taught me that I didn't have to eat with my arms wrapped around my plate like somebody was going to come take something from me. This is something that is yours. This is now we're sharing this, and so open up and relax and let whatever's coming into your life, whatever's coming into your life, let it happen. And you have to learn how to release your guard and drop your guard and understand that people aren't going to take something from you. And then also understand that these folks that are in your life right now are going to be here for some time. They're not going to abandon you, right? So all these things are all part of what's molded into me. And then I started trying to make that house happy and have fun and during lip sync things with my families. And my mom saw this early. She's like, you're doing something and you should do something with that. So not only did this family give me a home, they also encouraged me to chase this thing that's in my heart, this gift that I have. Go after it. Go see where that goes, and I did that, and that led me to becoming a DJ. I fell in love with music. I fell in love with just being on stage. I went to the University of Minnesota. I thought I wanted to be like the next Stuart Scott. I thought I wanted to be that guy on ESPN or on the Good Morning America. And I just won. And there's a part of me that still has that drive and that thought. But, when I got in front of people and on a microphone in a live session, that's where I began to shine. Because not everyone likes that, right? Not everyone's comfortable with that. And for me, it was just something that if you put me on a stage with thousands of people, I am just comfortable.
Yeah.
And I thank God for that gift.
Yeah. And it is so apparent every time I was with you. And it doesn't matter. Honestly, you are one of the few people that I've seen that can transition to not only feel comfortable in front of thousands, but if I can put you in an intimate setting where you have just a few tables, you set those on fire. I mean, we've been together so many different times in so many different situations. You are truly one of those guys that knows how to communicate, and you're also a leader. And I think that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you is being on a ship. If you get mad at someone, if you live in Birmingham or Tampa or Minneapolis, you don't have to see them again. But if you're on a ship, you're going to see them 3 times a day at meals. You're going to see them around the ship. There had to be some leadership lessons just off the top of your head that you learned being at sea that I think would resonate with the people that are watching and listening to us today.
Yep. Well, I think the top thing is we just talked about it. Being comfortable in an audience, but then also being comfortable in intimate settings. And the intimate setting comfortability that came after mentorship. That came after being around a gentleman by the name of Jim Urry, who is now the VP of entertainment for DCL, Disney Cruise Line. He was our cruise director at that time, and he saw that in me. But he also saw I tried to be that same person in a room of 5, right? And it's like it's overwhelming. You don't have to do that. We all know you've got this big personality and you like to talk to the people in the back of the house. We get that. You need to know your audience. Learn to know your audience. Learn to be the quietest person in the room so you can listen to what everyone's talking about and what they need, and be an active listener. Listen to what people are saying. It's not always about you being on stage, not always about you being the life of the party. An intimate session of 5, we don't need a life of a party. You need to be able to let all 4 of those people outside of you take the lead and let them be the life. And you sit back and listen. And that was difficult for me in the beginning, right? Because all I knew was, be a cheerleader, get out there, get people going, in a team of 5. And this is twofold. Not only just a team of 5 or a team, and I'm just throwing that number out there. It could be a team of 3, it could be a team of 4, what have you. But in that intimate session, in that intimate setting, you're not always going to be the leader in there as well, right? You're going to be sitting with other executives that have just as much leadership or even more. Now it's time for you to be the student. Now it's time for you to sit back and just take all of this in. Be a sponge and soak it up. And it's perfectly fine to do that. So knowing your audience and learning your audience is one of the biggest lessons that I learned early on in my leadership journey, because I wanted to take what I did on stage and do it in an intimate setting, and it never works.
Yeah. I've learned that also. I mean, as a communicator, you have to know your audience. I love what you said, active listening. Some people just always have to talk. What I love about you is you're willing to listen. And that's, again, you're a dear friend, but you're also, I know, such a competent leader wherever you go. Now, here's the question I've got. You mentioned mentorship and several of the guys that you mentioned earlier, but there's one guy, Glenn Henderson. I know you and Glenn are just so close. How did y'all meet? And I'd love for you to kind of just reveal maybe one or two of those mentor topics that y'all have kind of walked through, and somehow what he has been able through the Lord to teach you about leadership?
Wow, you that name just it sends chills down my spine. Ever I talk about him and my relationship with Glenn, and also I want you to know that I have that same tingle when I talk about you, right? And both of you, I met on a Disney cruise ship. I met on a ship. I met Glenn and Regina and their family as we were crossing the transatlantic for the first time. Our ship was going from Port Canaveral to Barcelona, and he and his family happened to be on there. And I didn't know them. I hadn't met them. They'd been cruising for years prior to meeting me. But all of our guests on board were like, "Hey, have you met the Hendersons? Have you met the Hendersons? Have you met the Hendersons?" I didn't quite understand why is everyone asking, "Have I met the Hendersons?" And once I met them at Palo, you would know Palo. Palo, one of the restaurants on board, just having a nice meal. Myself and the captain and the hotel directors, we're sitting down, and waiter came over and said, "Hey, the Hendersons would like you to come over and join them just to say hello for a second." I said, "Okay, I'll join them around dessert time." So I went over, and when I met them, immediately I knew why. And it was because, and this just happens in the world. We can talk about that as part of this if you'd like to as well. They were the only other African-American family on board the ship, and they happened to be staying in the Walt Disney suite.
Oh.
So they're like, "You have to meet them." I was like, "Okay, if you say I got to meet them, sure." And when I met them, they were so floored because they, as I said, they've been on many cruises and had never seen an African-American cruise director.
Oh.
So for them, this was something that was really powerful. And I think for the longest time, I didn't understand my responsibility as the first and the only African-American cruise director with any cruise line, whatever, but it was with Disney. And I didn't understand that responsibility, because for me, I mean, I grew up in Minnesota. I don't see, people as black or white, Latin, whatever. I didn't see that. And it never was something that stood out to me. I just saw people. And I think that's also what made me really good. It makes me really great at what I do. I don't see you as your race. I see you as a person. I see you as a wonderful spirit and child of God. Even if that's not your following, or you don't believe or whatever, to me, you are still a child of our Lord and Savior. Period.
Oh.
And that's who I see you as. And so Glenn and I connected on the ship. At that time, they were moving from Atlanta to Jacksonville Beach. And I was looking to move from Lakeland, Florida, I wanted to get back to the ocean and be somewhere near the ocean. They told me about Jacksonville Beach. I drove down there, hung out with them for about 2 weeks, and then a month later, purchased my condo on Jax Beach. And then not only did we connect as friends later on, like you, because when you and I connected, I didn't know you were in the spiritual world. I had no idea. And Glenn is also a pastor, and invited me to one of the most incredible churches, the Potter's House International Ministry in Jacksonville, with Vaughn McLaughlin as the bishop, and the rest is history. We connected there. I was looking for a spiritual home, and Glenn led me to my spiritual home. And then Glenn wanted to then start teaching me about business and the importance of my role as an executive with Disney Cruise Line, and not just with Disney Cruise Line. I'm an executive with Walt Disney World Company, right? And how to leverage that to reach back and bring others along with me. Who are some of those other kids out there that thought that their life was going to be in foster care forever, thought that they were going to either end up in jail or on the streets, that I could reach out and just grab. And when I started just looking, there were quite a few out there that have, as we would call, made it. And when I say make it, it means you're not in the foster care system anymore. You're not in the prison systems either. You're just trying to make it and make your life with your family. And there's quite a few people that I was able to reach out to, talk to, now become a mentor for them. And when I say things like that, I think about it. I'm like, God, Clayton, you're a mentor for somebody? How? What did you do that was so special? Well, it was God's plan, and God led me to some wonderful places.
I think even with that,
people in my life.
I think even with that, it just gives another insight into you. That what I have discovered in life is those who are truly successful, they don't really understand their success. They don't understand how I got here. It's just being a mentor is you're just out of the overflow of what you're learning, of what you're building, you build into others. That's what Paul did with Timothy, and that's what we're called to do. Now, you have you have been successful in so many different areas of your life. I've got to talk about one area that, you're successful, but it has not been a mentor relationship that's been successful, because I have seen your physical transformation. When we first met, you were a healthy individual. You weren't obese, you weren't overweight, but you were a little chunky. Let's just, I can say that now. But now, oh my gosh, I remember we came on a cruise, and I was like, is that Clayton? Is that the same? You were chiseled, man. I mean, I'm talking about the transformation into your physical training, your healthy eating. Of course, you've tried to influence my life, which has been a complete failure. I am what I am. I mean, look at you, look at me, and people have a hard time believing mine comes natural. But anyway, so what were your keys? What got you to see that transformation? What was the energy behind that? And here's what also I'd love for you to give a couple of moments to. What are some hints that you'd give to someone like me, who is at that time where I'm going, I would really like to be a little bit healthier?
Yep. Let's start there, because I like to speak to that a lot. While I was on that transformation journey, and when the journey, when I guess reached that point of, wow, Clayton, you're on stage competing and you're doing these things, and people are seeing it, and now people are asking, and you realize, wow, you're inspiring people, not even trying to, right? I would say, just first of all, just start, right? Just if you wake up and you go, man, I really would like to. I'd like to walk a mile today. Go walk a mile. Go walk half a mile, right? Start with half a mile. If you say, man, I just want to get back into, cool, do it. Start. Go get on a bike, right? Go ride a bike for 15, 20 minutes. Do something small every day that leads to something larger, right? Because just say you wake up and you say, I'm going to do 15 minutes today. Beautiful. Go do 15 minutes. The next day, two things happen. One, you accomplished your goal. You set a goal and you accomplished it. And it was a reachable goal. It's one thing when people say, man, I want to be in shape next week. Okay, that's not not something that's going to happen, right? There's no magic pill for these things. But if you make those realistic, attainable goals, tomorrow I want to walk 15 minutes. Then I want to do that 3 days in a row. Then next week, I want to walk a half hour, 3 days in a row. You have to start with those small attainable goals, reach that goal, feel good about that goal, celebrate that goal, and then set another one. Right? So start, I would say, just start. Start small. You don't have to go out and buy a bike. You don't have to go out and turn your garage into a gym. You don't have to, I don't think those things, because all those things are just obstacles that really get in the way of you actually starting.
would be the type guy I'd go out and go, okay, the garage is going to be a new physical fitness center, and I'd never go. I'd build it, and I go, well, I'm too busy. So I am the guy that went to the gym, could not find a parking space close to the door, and just left. I just never pulled in. So I love how you say started. But I think also, for if I remember correctly, you had almost an accountability partner when you first started.
I did. And I, I played high school football, track, wrestling, been dancing my life, and always tried to be in shape, because one of the things I loved doing was being in front of people. Whenever I had a chance to be on a video or something, you still have to try to put your best forward, right, for folks, and there's still a accountability there. But once I made it a profession, once I said, okay, I'm going to start competing in men's physique competitions. All right. I went to a competition just to go watch. I wanted to go see what was happening here. And I saw what these young men and women look like. And I was like, wow. But then I saw the guys that were like 40. Because remember, I started competing at like, I'm 49 now. So I started competing at 41.
Wow.
And I was competing against 19-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 35-year-olds. And a part of you is like, man, I'm not going to be able to do this. But I had a coach, right? And in life, we need coaches. We need spiritual coaches. We need business coaches. We need relationship coaches. Hey, and when you're getting into fitness, having a fitness coach is just as important. And that fitness coach is there to talk you off the ledge when you get to points where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's just a quick thought that comes into your head. You have someone there to say, I know it hurts right now. I know, but in about 2 more weeks, you're going to be so happy. And that person is talking to you while you're working out, right? And gets you from one point to the next point, and takes your mind off of thinking too much about the goal, and just focus on where you are right now. Get to that next rep, get to that next set, get to that next bike ride. Don't worry about what you want to look like 6 months from now. Focus on where you are right now. And right now, you're trying to get through this workout today. Get through this workout today.
Wow. Great words. Great words. So, as you're embarking on a new journey with Virgin, and it's coming out of a pandemic. We're all hoping we can get back to cruising soon. I mean, we all need it. Some go on it, and as we know, a lot of people, their financial security is by working in the cruise industry. Let me ask you a question. What do you see as some of the changes in your industry, especially in customer service industry, after we get past this pandemic?
Well, I first got to tell you, we're just so excited to return to cruising. My passion for cruising, I believe it's one of the best, safest, most memorable ways to vacation, period. And Virgin Voyages is going to do something that has not been done before, reimagining the cruise experience. There hasn't been a company that has started a new cruise company since Disney Cruise Line back in 1998. And now Virgin Voyages we're going to knock it out of the park, man. And we're looking forward to our return to sailing. May 9th now will be the launch date for us. Of course, that launch date has moved several times with the pandemic, like every other company out there. But we feel real good about this one. And I tell you, from a customer service perspective, we know that cruisers are excited to get back out there. We are launching a new brand, so we have kind of double responsibility. One, we have to stay true to our brand. Two, we have to give people the cruise experience that they've never seen before. And now we have to do that in a safe way. Now we have to make sure cruisers when we tell them what we're going to do, we do what we say, so they trust us. They want to know that when they come on board, that they're that our protocols are in place. Sanitized protocols, uh, purified air protocols, making sure folks are wearing masks and things like that. All that's going to be out there. So will cruising look a little different? Maybe, in the beginning, but as the vaccines and everything else are introduced, I think we'll move past that as well.
Yeah, it's a new normal. We just got through with our first conference live since prior to the pandemic. We had to put people in pods, as groups, so there was no intermingling between the groups, or everyone had to wear a mask entering and exiting. I really don't know what protocols are really based on science or based on perception, but I understand if people are fearful, they're going to act irrational. So take away that emotion so people can feel comfortable, and I think things can get back to normal. Now I have to ask this: with COVID hitting, it shut down your industry. I mean, it shut me down, but it shut you guys down off the ship. Now you're back. How did you invest your time this past year?
Well, I did you did a lot of soul searching.
Amen on that.
You really had to go inside and figure out who you are, because that's when you find out who you are, when you get into the heat of crisis. Everybody's in great spirits when we all have money in the bank, we all have checks coming in, we all have friends and family that we can go see and they can come see us. All those things life is great. But as soon as those things are no longer happening, how are you going to react? And it's not something that anyone has ever really had to think about. So two things happened for me as I was having conversations with other people that were going through it. I reminded myself constantly that, Clayton, it's not just you. Everyone is going through this. Everyone has been affected by this. Very fortunate. Virgin Voyages did a wonderful job, just really helping repatriate some of all of our team members back home to their countries of where they're from, which was a feat in itself, and a lot of partnerships. But it was wonderful that we actually got that done. And then you said, what are some of the things that I did? How did I invest my time? One, stayed healthy. I made sure I stayed. This is when now you've made that gym in your garage. You were really smart. You were smarter than everyone else. So good on you.
And I wish I'd actually done it now.
But, being on the ship, I did push-ups in the room. We ate very, very well on board. Once I got off the ship, it was about just making sure you walked. I ran. I did calisthenics, because we didn't have a gym to go to. So you do what you can with what you have, and you just make the best of that. And then, I started thinking about, all right, what are some of the things I've always wanted to do and said that I would do if I had time? And so I started. I started just taking some notes down. And one, I wrote my movie treatment for a movie that I want to put out there. You and I have spoke a little bit about that. The title of it now is called Imperfectly Perfect, and it's a story of a young man that in his early part of his life was obese, and got made fun of for being obese. And as he went into college, stayed obese, actually dropped out of college. But then this pandemic hit, right? And a couple reality shows or workout companies were looking for people that they could take in this pandemic that were overweight and teach them how to lose weight without going to gyms, just by changing your diet and doing some daily cardio. How can we do that? And so this gentleman went from 340 pounds to 170 pounds in 90 days, just by switching his diet to plant-based diet, and then also adding more cardio in his life. He becomes now the face of health and wellness throughout the world, because all this was done in a pandemic. All this was done during the pandemic, right? Becomes the face of health and wellness, launches plant-based nutrition, launches plant-based protein powders, all these things, right?
Yeah.
Opens gyms around the country, and now wants to take that and go to the Senate and to the House and say, you know what, if something like this happens again, health clubs need to be essential, you know, because folks in their emotional or their mental health and their mental well-being is also something that's challenged in this. So how do we make sure that that doesn't happen again? You know, he also wants to change the way children eat, starting early on in their career in school, right? Elementary school, and change those pieces up a little bit. But you know, so all these things he's got planned, and then he's going out on a hike and falls, hits his head. You know, now he wakes up and he's back into his 300-pound self, back in school, and now this journey has to start from there. So it's anyway, wrote a movie treatment for that. You know, starting to write the script now. Also working on a sitcom for that has to do with cruising. So you know, you do the best you can to try to not focus on what's happening out in the world, and how you can focus on improving yourself for when whatever normal looks like comes back, you can have a smooth transition back into it. You know, and that's really where I've been now. Has that been easy? No. You know, bills still had to get paid, you know, so I took on a job with another company out there in housekeeping, and I think I told you about this. I was cleaning toilets and cleaning rooms and making beds and doing what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And even that taught me lessons, right?
Yeah.
While I was on my knees, you know, behind the toilet, scrubbing things behind the toilet, praying, Lord, look at where I am. Look at where I was 6 months ago, and look at where I am right now.
Wow.
All this is part of your plan. Somehow, I don't know what it is, but somehow I know it's there. And I'm gonna just submit to you here on my knees right now with this toothbrush in my hand, scrubbing behind this toilet. I am yours. And what is it that you will have me do? And what lesson are you teaching me? The very next day, it was almost as if my eyes were open to see what it was. I started to realize I'm starting to notice the people that I'm working with. The demographics has now changed of who I'm around. Working in the cruise industry, I'm dealing with other leaders and people that are passionate about what they do and passionate about hospitality. Working in this housekeeping industry, I'm working with people, frontline and hourly employees that really have had no direction in their life. One kid, I won't name names, but one kid has like 4 children with 4 different women, and he wants to be a rapper, but he's also out there selling drugs. And this is in Tennessee, in rural Tennessee. You know, there's other ladies that work with me that had just got out of prison, and now they're in the reentry program and living in a halfway house, and having to urinate in a cup weekly, and haven't seen their kid in 3 or 4 years, and trying to get their child back in their life. You know, and look to me as someone that's been out there in the world, who's worldly, but also can relate to them because I don't judge them, and I just talk to them as people. And starting to just realize, wow, you put me here just so I can just pour into people about their life. you know, this is where you are right now, but this is not where you have to end up.
Mm.
You know, make some great choices, but don't think that this is it for you, because it's not. And I'm
Mm.
saying that to you because I know where I am right now, working with you. This is not it for me.
Mm.
You know, this is where I am right now, and I'm proud to be here with you. But I feel like I need to be telling you, hey, this is not it for you. You should be doing. You wait. You speak Spanish and French?
Mm.
There are jobs out there in the world for you.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to tell you that's several things. One, I always think of the favor of Joseph with the prison guard. That's how I see you've just gained favor wherever you've been throughout your life, because you didn't. I've never sensed a spirit of entitlement. It is just like, I am here today. I'm going to give my best to whatever I have in front of me right now. And you're a leader if you're in front of 1,000 people. You're a leader if you're scrubbing behind a commode. And I pray people who are listening and watching, who think you're entitled to your leadership position, you think you're entitled to be there, it can be taken away just like that. Will you still be the same leader? Will you still have the same servant leadership? I don't want to preach. That's not what this program's for. But just, again, I appreciate you. Appreciate your leadership. Appreciate your friendship. Just appreciate your life, bro. Like I told you in the coffee house there on the cruise ship, I just feel like I'm just, the Lord's called me to walk along beside you in life. And anytime, anything, anywhere, you got a brother in Birmingham. Now, as we close up, as we're coming to the end of this, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Clayton,
Yep.
what is the best way for someone to contact you? Through your website, your email? How would they reach out to you?
Well, you know, I've always been one of those guys that's been an open book, you know, and I've never been too busy for anyone. I'm not one of those folks that says, "Hey, contact this person; they'll set you up with me." No, if you want to talk to me, if you want to talk about leadership, if you just want a new brother in Christ in your life, um, my email is Clayton@ClaytonLyndsey.com. Really simple. Clayton, Clayton Clayton Lyndsey Lyndsey.com. And I'll go even further. Call me, baby. 612-308-4980. You can reach out to me. We can talk. We can connect. We can have coffee, whatever it is. Because I'm a servant. You know, that's what I'm here for. And if there's any person that I can serve or pour into, please let me know.
Wow. Well, those will be in our show notes, and he is a leader among leaders. Now, we're trying to start something new in 2021. You're my first shot at this, okay? Because I want to do it with a friend. It's hard to do it with some folks that you don't really know, because I don't know how it's going to end up. But we're calling it the Fast Five segment, Mark. It is, I'm going to ask you a rapid question where you have to choose either this or that. And Will did the research on you pretty well, because he was bringing all these together, and I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be a tough one for him. And there's some of these where I would go, yeah, this is going to be an easy one for him. Here we go. Number one, you have to pick either this or that and tell me why. The mountains or the beaches?
The beaches. And it's because my professional life has been on an ocean. Uh, uh, right. And when I'm at the beach, when I'm on the water, I feel that I'm very, very close to our Lord and Savior.
Wow.
I feel that the water calls me. I feel like the water calms me. I spent time living in Denver, Colorado, about a year and a half, and I was at the mountains, baby. And I tell you what, there's nothing more majestic in my mind. It's beautiful, you know. But if I had that choice, here's the thing: with mountains comes cold weather as well.
Yes.
With ocean, with the beach, it comes warm weather, and that's what's more where I want to be.
I think I told you, I don't believe it's God's will for anyone to be cold. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Here we go. Number two, at home workout or a gym membership workout?
gym membership workout, and the reason for that is there's something about being around other like-minded people that are trying. You don't know their story in the gym. You don't know people's story, but what you do know is that they're trying to better themselves, right? And you being around other people that have that same thought process, and even if it's just for that 35, 40 minutes that you're in the gym, it's a wonderful thing.
All right. Number 3, jazz music or pop music?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hey.
Going back to the DJ days.
Yes. All right. Okay. Okay. This is what I'll say this pop music. And the reason why jazz music tends to be, and this is just my opinion, for all those jazz viewers out there, they're like, no, that's not right. Okay. This is just my opinion. But jazz music tends to be very instrumental and just kind of instrumental only. And pop music seems to be more lyrical and it's telling a story. They're telling a story, and I'm not gonna go out there and name artists that don't tell stories, but you know what's out there. But in that pop genre, people are really trying to tell a story, and they're trying to share something that's on their heart. I'm not saying jazz musicians are not sharing something on their heart. I'm just saying that the lyrics, and when you have lyrics that kind of tell a story, that's more important for me.
All right. Side note, will the Clayton dance be shown on the Virgin Cruises?
It will not.
Okay. Retiring the Clayton dance. It was my children's favorite growing up.
And I'll tell you why. Like I said, at Virgin Voyages, we're doing something really different. And as the entertainment director, my job is not to be the cheerleader. My job is not to get out there and entertain the masses anymore. Now we have a team for that. We have a happenings cast, and our happenings cast, they make all the entertainment happen on board, along with some of our teams in the theater and things like that. So the Clayton dance has been retired.
Wow. Well, it was infamous back in its day. I mean,
I say retired, but let me back it up a little bit. I still have to do it one more time with my girlfriend's daughter, Abby. When we met back in, God, how long ago that was. I have a picture of myself and Abby doing the dance together. And so that was back when she was like 8. So we have to recreate that photo.
I understand.
She's an adult. So we're going to do that again. And then after that, the vacation dance is retired.
Oh, man. All right. So here's number 4. Summer or winter?
That goes back to the first question. Yeah, summer.
I feel like I know this one too. Coffee or energy drink?
Neither.
I thought so.
I gotta choose one, but yeah, one, I don't want to put a lot of caffeine in my body, and also with the energy drink, there's a lot of sugar in those as well. So how about just a nice glass of unsweetened sweet tea from Alabama?
There you go. Sweet home Alabama.
Huh?
All right. So if you were going to splurge, would it be a piece of cake or a piece of pie?
It would be a piece of cake, and it would be carrot cake. Warm carrot cake from J. Alexander's is just out of this world.
If I see you later on this month, I'm bringing you a piece from Edgar's Bakery. It's phenomenal. But anyway, hey, listen.
Side by side. Let's get an Edgar's Baker and a J. Alexander's, and we'll have a taste off.
Well, that's true. And Edgar's would win because they sponsor our program. No. No.
You got it.
Hey, listen, love you, bro. I'll be back in touch with you soon. Thank you so much for giving us your time this past 45 minutes. We all pray for you. We're praying for the cruise industry. I know you'll be a light wherever you go. And man, so excited about your future. And I'm going to be, hopefully, if someone's listening, watching, and you're involved in the film industry, I really think you've got a winner here if you'll just partner along with Clayton. I'm doing everything I can to make sure it's a success. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody at Dawson Now. I appreciate you, and roll tide.
Roll Tide. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.